Well, welcome to our cooking demo today. My name is Megan, and welcome to all of our people online. Thank you for joining us. We are recording today, so if you missed it, you'll get the recording. And it's a gorgeous day out there, so I do not blame you if you signed up to be here in person and then actually decided to be in your garden instead. That's totally fine. You'll also get the recipes, and I am starting right now on our fruit salad recipe. Our topic for the day is picnic foods and preparing, picnic foods, but also really when I think about picnics, the first thing that comes to mind for me is food safety, because so often people get sick. You're transporting food, you're either hot holding or cold holding food. There's grills involved and lots of different people and heat maybe outside. Has anybody here gotten sick from a picnic before? It's very common. Yeah.
One time in Mexico, on a little tour boat to look at pelicans,
Uh-huh.
and they served sandwiches with mayonnaise.
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness.
Right.
I
Yeah.
always think don't eat potato salad because you don't want to, neither want to make it fancy.
Right. Yeah. So the comments here in class were all about mayo and dairy and the things that can kind of go bad. The thing I'll say about the mayo, it's not the mayo itself. The mayo is actually just like providing the moisture and the protein for the bacteria to thrive. The bacteria is actually coming from the produce, like in the potato salad, right?
Serving up sandwiches, on a boat,
Oh, yeah, like a hot boat and it's in the sun. Yeah, so one of the handouts I gave you was a little kind of overview of thinking about what to be concerned with, and also timing, because the timing of your food and like how long it's been in the sun or the heat really matters. So that danger zone, which is where the bacteria is, replicating the fastest, is between 40 and 140 degrees. So basically like ambient temperature, right? Or like outdoor temperature. And if it's above 90 degrees, really you only have about an hour before you need to throw that potato salad or whatever away. If it's not cold held, right? Like you can do some strategies, and we'll talk about that a little later, to keep things cold. But yeah, be really careful. Or if you show up to a picnic and there's things that have been sitting there for a while and you're like, how long has this been here? And there's no ice, there's no cold packs. I would be very leery about, having things that could potentially cause some foodborne illness. All right. A lot of potlucks, yeah. And the recipes today are meant for kind of like a, big batch potluck, but we'll also talk about like how do you pack a little picnic as well. And the recipes today are all, lots of things that people won't bring, because you're going to get lots of chips and, kind of refined things like hot dog buns and hamburger buns and stuff like that. And this is, more produce based, lots of color, lots of fruits and vegetables. And also a little bit of a twist on some things. So we're going to use for our pasta salad today, we're going to use a Banza pasta. Has anybody seen this or tried this? This is actually a chickpea pasta. So it's lower carbohydrate, higher protein, and higher fiber. And, one of the deals with the picnic scenario is there's a lot of carbs. You've got the buns, you've got the chips, you've got corn, maybe beans, maybe potato salad, maybe sweet things. There's a lot of carbohydrates. And so if you can do something that's a little bit of a twist on that, like little lower carbohydrate, higher fiber, or complex carbs, this is a nice option for people who are trying to watch their blood sugar, or for people who have a gluten intolerance, because there's no gluten in this. So it's a gluten-free pasta salad, which is kind of nice to bring something that, more people can enjoy. Just put a little label. Yeah, exactly. Like gluten-free. Like really, it's true. It's made from chickpeas. And then you're getting the protein right in your pasta salad. So it's this better balance of like protein in there. Now we are going to add a little bit of a meat protein. I have some chicken sausages here from Costco that I just cut up. You would not need to put this in there. There's plenty of protein in this pasta salad without it, but it provides that little bit of like savoriness and just a little bit of the meat within a vegetarian dish. So I'm just kind of like getting these hot to give them a little bit of a caramelization, like if you were going to grill them or something, but they're actually pre-cooked. And that's one nice thing to think about if you are doing meats, if you can do like some pre-cooked chicken sausages or something that really is already ready to go, then you're not worried about getting it up to a certain temperature. But if you're doing from raw, like chicken breast or burgers or steak or even fish, you do want to check those temperatures on things. And in your packet, that little thermometer, it's kind of small print, but there's a little thermometer with like, what should you be aiming for with your different types of meats in order to, make sure that you're killing that bacteria. And ideally, you would have a thermometer. Somebody at the picnic or the barbecue would have a thermometer to check things. Okay, I'm gonna get our pasta going because we've got boiling water here. This was a giant box. I'm only gonna use 2/3 of this. This is actually 3 pounds of pasta. We don't need all of this pasta. That's a lot.
Regular grocery store, I'm not a pasta person, but I've never seen it.
I can't remember if I got this at Costco or Safeway. Safeway has a really good selection of the Banza pasta. This one is my favorite, the cavatappi. It's like the spiral. Yeah. The trick with this, really with any pasta, when you're cooking your pasta, make sure you stir it right away when you put it in the pot. First of all, have a boiling pot of water. And then also you want to make sure that you are stirring it because it cooks from the outside in. Those starches on the outside will swell first. So you don't want it to like stick to itself or stick to the bottom. So just make sure you're stirring it when you first get it going. Put a little bit more in here. Okay, that's about 2/3. But yeah, the Banza brand makes all kinds of different, like fusilli and rotini and spaghetti and yeah, all kinds of pastas. And I'm going to turn this up since I have the lid off. Now, one of the tricks with gluten-free pastas, because there's no gluten to hold it together. That's what gluten does, right? Like it gives it that structure. Is you want to look at the side of the box and see like, okay, what is the cooking time? This one says 6 to 8 minutes. You want to really go on the low end of that. Like at 6 minutes, check it. If it is al dente, pull it right away. Rinse it under cold water so you stop that cooking process immediately so it doesn't fall apart. And then once you've, gotten it cold and it's, not cooking anymore, it'll stay intact and it'll be fine. It's like a like a leftover, like you can make it a day or two in advance of the potluck. And actually, it's better the next day, right? Like once those flavors have melded and you've got your dressing on there. So yeah, all of these recipes can be made up in advance. All right, so 6 to 8 minutes. I am gonna ask all of you to just like remind me because I've got a lot going on here. So yeah, so in like 5 minutes from now, we want to pull this. All right, and then I'm going to toss this this sausage here too. Can you guys smell that out there? Smells, yeah, it smells like a barbecue.
It's concept doesn't leave a lot of nutrition in the cooking.
Right, yeah, the pasta really maintains the protein and the fiber in there. Absolutely. Yep. And it's really nice to get more beans in your life. Like beans are a fantastic source of plant-based protein. Yeah, and fiber. So, okay, this sausage, since it's cooked, this is good enough. I just got it a little bit browned. You wouldn't have to do this, but I think it just the presentation looks a little better. and you get that little bit of caramelization, which is nice. Okay, I'm just gonna give this one more stir before I go over here. Okay, let's keep working on the fruit salad while the pasta is getting done. So I've already sliced our strawberries. I basically just washed them and took the tops off and cut them in half. We're also using a melon. And actually, I got this melon from Safeway already halved. So the recipe calls for just a half a melon. And I didn't want to waste and get a whole one. And the nice thing about it, I was able to see it, so I could tell it was actually ripe. So I actually really appreciated that. And then you're only buying exactly what you need. Do wash your melons. Melons tend to be a little bit higher in pesticides, so like wash the outside and make sure that you're rinsing any of that off before you cut through that skin and potentially transfer. I'm gonna actually do little cubes first, and then just slice this into our dish. There's lots of different ways to cut melon, but this is my favorite way. Just be careful about your fingers and thumbs. So yeah, you can do cubes, or if you want to, like some people will do the melon baller and actually like make little rounds. That's a little more fancy and takes a lot more time. But you could do that if you want to get fancy for a picnic. And then we're going to put a dressing on this. So in order to keep your fruit nice and fresh and add a little bit of antioxidants to it, so helping to prevent browning, we are going to put on a lemon dressing, or sorry, a lime dressing, actually. You could use lemon if you wanted, or another citrus like orange, and a little bit of a sweetener. So the recipe calls for honey. I'm actually going to use agave today because the agave is a little bit more runny than the honey, and I like how it coats the fruit. Both are very sweet. Both are a little bit higher in fructose. And so the sweetness of honey and agave really pops on your taste buds. So you really don't need very much. Like compared to table sugar, it's sweeter because it's higher fructose. Okay, I think we're really, really close on this pasta. One more minute. Okay. Let me just check one because you really want to pull it right while it's al dente. I don't know if you guys can see, but it did like kind of gets a little foamy because it's made from beans, so there's a lot of starch in there.
Does it tend to boil over if you don't watch it?
Well, I tend to boil over all my pasta if I don't watch it. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll put a metal spoon in a big ladle and it doesn't boil over that.
Oh, interesting.
It sort of sits there.
Okay, I'm going to drain this because it's ready to go.
Good time. It's a timer.
Do give it a really good rinse so that you're getting it cold and stopping that cooking process. And it is pretty starchy, so you kind of want to rinse off some of that starch anyway. Okay, and then I'm just going to set this back in here to kind of drain. We'll just let that cool and drain right there. Okie dokie. Let's finish our fruit salad. Have you guys made fruit salad before? And what kind of fruit are you using? Or like what's your...
Whatever's in the refrigerator.
Whatever's available. Like leftovers.
I make fruit salad all the time because then it's ready to eat right away.
Yeah. Okay, like make it up for the week and then it's just ready to go.
No, I make it up for the day.
For the day, okay. You can do it daily.
I'm not a cook.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You're adding blueberries?
So that's a nice little thing because it's so self-contained, you know, it makes
Right.
a good, you know, addition and I like kiwi and some of them are.
Oh yeah, kiwi's a good one too. Yeah. Yeah, the berries this time of year are really nice. Blueberries are great because yeah, you just rinse them and throw them in there. That's lovely.
Yeah, all berries.
Mhm.
Okay, our other, so it's not fully fruit because we are going to add a cucumber.
Oh.
So we're going to add a little crunch to this. We can get fancy, and if you want to do this where you kind of like do strips, make your cucumber a little stripy, you certainly could. You don't have to. You could leave all that skin on there, but it's kind of fun to just make it a little more striated. Okay. And I'm choosing an English cucumber here because the English tend to be a little bit more dry. You could use a regular cucumber, that would be fine. But if you're using a regular cucumber and it's got a lot of wateriness in it, like even this one being English, like there's quite a bit of moisture in here. Now we're gonna eat this right away today, right? So I'm not worried about it. But if I wanted to hold this for a few days, I would probably take a little spoon and get out some of that extra moisture, and then just, slice it so it's not too watery, right? Let's just do halves. Well, let's do quarters. These are kind of towards the end here, it's kind of big. Then they're more bite size. But yeah, if you have regular cucumbers, I saw some really good deals on cucumbers in the grocery store today. You Safeway. Yeah.
To slice them and squeeze them, and get the water out, and it doesn't matter what they look like, because it can be all mixed up.
It's gonna be mixed up anyway. Yeah, right, exactly. So they don't have to be perfect looking. But yeah, if it's a regular cucumber, you probably want to, scoop out some of those seeds, that extra. Okay. Oh, I love the red and green together. Yeah, and then you could add a different color if you wanted to throw something else in there.
Those look like to put nuts in or dates.
Oh, nuts would be lovely, like a little crunch. I do have some almond slivers we could add.
Even croutons, I mean, I have to have some of all the bad stuff.
Or some croutons, yes, some crunchiness. Did you say eggs?
No. What did
Uh,
I say? Yeah, nuts or dates.
Oh, dates, like a dried fruit. Yeah, you could add a little dried fruit.
Dates and figs, I mean, they're high in calories, but they're good for you.
Yeah, dates and figs, lots of good minerals in there and adds a sweetness. So you could even make like a dressing with those, like puree them, or just put a little in there for a little pop of flavor. We are going to make our dressing now. So we've got a couple limes. I probably only need to use one because the dressing calls for 2 tablespoons of lime juice, and one large lime will give you about that amount. I bought 2 just in case they were dry. But yeah, we're going to get 2 tablespoons out of this, which is great. And then a tablespoon of your zest, and then a couple tablespoons of whatever your sweetener is. Now you could use zest from the limes that you're using. Like if you have a microplaner or if you have a zester, you can, basically do double duty here. So you're using both the zest and the juice from the lime. But if you don't have a zester, and even if you do have a zester, you might want to consider getting some little packets of the dried lime. Have you guys seen those? It's the True Lime or True Lemon. Those are so lovely for the summer. Like even just to throw, they're in like little individual packets for drinks, like to throw it in a sparkling water. And then it's like a 0-calorie, very refreshing, citrusy drink. And it's a backup. So if I'm out of limes or I'm out of, I can't zest anything, one of those packets works really well. And I brought some with me just in case like these limes weren't zesting well, but this one seems pretty good.
a grocery store, what department do you find that?
They're in the section by like the Crystal Light and you know, like the powdered beverage stuff, like by Splenda and stuff like that. But it is just straight up citrus dried in there, and then a little citric acid. So I actually use it for my patients who have a history of kidney stones to add a little citric acid to their life to prevent the stone formation. Okay. Oh my gosh, that zest smells so good. Okay, and then let's do our agave in here. I'm just gonna eyeball it. Give it a little stir, maybe with like a regular spoon. And then I did pull some mint from the garden too on my way out the door. So we're gonna add a little mint as well. Yeah, one thing that I would say about this recipe that I might change up next time, or I often do add, is a little bit of powdered ginger, which goes really well with fruit. So just like a little splash of powdered ginger, or even like what you were saying about like the dates or the dried fruit in there, you can do crystallized ginger and like chop it up in little pieces, and that goes really lovely in a fruit salad. Okay, are we missing anything? Just the mint, I think.
How would that taste with, like cantaloupe? I know watermelon would be too.
Cantaloupe is delicious, especially with the lime and ginger. Yeah. Okay, we're just going to do this dressing and give it a toss and let it kind of marinate a little bit. Oh, yeah, it's one of my favorites is a good fruit salad.
You do need blueberries.
Yeah, one more color in there.
Well, they're so good and they're good for you. You can put blueberries in everything.
Yeah, they're so sweet, aren't they? They're great.
Yeah, the blueberries are great right now. Have you guys had the big ones? Those really big blueberries, they're
Yeah.
delicious. You would think that they're going to be mealy, and they actually end up being really
They're really
tasty.
good, but they say that the small ones, the wild ones are the best nutrition wise.
Right.
That the big ones, don't have as many.
The big ones are right more for sugar.
The wild ones are higher in anthocyanins, so they're higher in your phytonutrients. Yeah, but they're all good, right? Like, don't knock the big ones; they're good too. And the wild ones are expensive, I will say. Yeah.
My husband eats the rind, like I'll give him an orange and I'll eat the whole orange. And I
Oh,
wonder,
wow.
what is it
Yeah.
about rind in the vegetable world that is, that adds so much?
Well,
Zest.
yeah, the rind has a lot of flavor, and it actually has those oils in it that are really healthy. So from oranges or from lime. So yeah, if you
Flavors too.
flavor and you're getting those phytonutrients as well. Yeah. So if you like the rind, I would include it for sure, or eat it. All right. We'll do a little sprinkle of our mint in here. If you have a little space for a garden, mint does really well here in the Northwest. It'll just kind of take over. Maybe put it in a pot so it doesn't take over too much space. Okay, this is good to go. You could, change it up, but, easy peasy, ready to go. Do keep it cold. Like if you are preparing it ahead of time, keep it cold for the future, cover it so it doesn't dry out. And maybe throw it in a little Tupperware, which we're going to use for our pasta salad. So we're actually going to put our pasta salad like straight in the container that I would take to a potluck, right? Like one less dish to clean. Let's go ahead and put our pasta in there. And then we're going to throw our veggies in with it. Ooh, and this might come out in one big chunk. There we go. Yeah, we want to kind of fluff this up, fluff it up a little bit, get it broken up, and get it cooling a little bit more too, because it's still, you can see it's steaming still. Yeah, get a little bit cooler. Okay. All right, now we're gonna add our veggies to this and our dressing and our meat, because we did do a little bit of chicken. All right. I gave you some information on grilling, thinking about, meats and getting this a little bit charred. We do want to be careful about too much charring. So there are some carcinogens that I mentioned in the handout. There's some carcinogens that get formed when you are doing high temperature cooking, whether it's grilling or even like on a skillet, over the stove. And so you do want to be careful about not over cooking or like not having a ton of that brown, black, charcoal type stuff. And I gave you a few recipes for marinades and rubs. So spices and acid, so vinegar or citrus, can actually cut down on the formation of those carcinogens. So if you can add some antioxidants, add a marinade, that really helps, like marinade on your steak or even on your veggies if you're grilling those. That really helps cut down on those extra carcinogens that are being made. And then try and flip your meats quite often. The old school, recommendation was, oh, leave it searing until you flip it, the one time. But actually we know now for more even temperature cooking, you want to flip often, and then you're also forming less of those heterocyclic amines and polycyclic hydrocarbons in order to cut down on the heat on the surface, and then it's heating more evenly throughout. So yeah, so some strategies with that. This pasta salad has quite a bit in it. We've got garbanzo beans. So it's made out of garbanzo beans, but we're also adding a whole can of straight up garbanzo beans that I just rinsed, and a whole can of olives. I need a bigger bowl.
Yes.
Woo, it makes a lot. And do go ahead and rinse the top of your cans first of all before you open them, because you don't never know where they've been. But then rinse your vegetables, rinse your beans. You're gonna rinse off a lot of that extra salt and some of the starchiness. And then have you guys ever used these little, they're so cute, little teeny tiny mozzarella balls? Yeah.
Bigger than that. I don't know if I've ever used that.
Yeah, these are great because they are just bite size. Now, if you wanted to do something a little bigger, they do make balls a little bit bigger that you could put on skewers. Like if you were doing a picnic where you wanted to do little bite-sized things, skewer tomato, skewer a little mozzarella ball, your basil, maybe even one of these chicken sausages, and have little, individual. But these tiny ones are really nice for a pasta salad. They're the pearl size. That's this one.
They were mini marshmallows.
Mini marshmallows. Okay, and then we are going to add a pepper, and there's lots of different ways to cut a pepper. I like to stand it up and kind of cut down around the core so I don't have to deal with the seeds. And then I try and get all of it so I'm not wasting it. Some people like to, cut into the core and take out the seeds, but I feel like that's more time and work. So I do it this way. And we're going to leave our pepper chunks pretty chunky. So you don't have to think about mincing or anything, because we're going for these bite-sized pieces similar to what else is in the dish. So your size of bites are about the same. And then we are going to add some aromatics. So we've got green onions. I'm going to use a whole bunch of green onions in this. And our dressing is going to have some garlic in there. So you've got onions and garlic. If you have an issue with onions and garlic, I would just use an oil that has been infused with the garlic. Like you can, still get the flavor without all of the fermentable carbohydrates from garlic. And if you don't have an issue with that, don't worry about what that is. But for the people who have GI issues with garlic, you can still get the flavor with infused oils. And you could also do just the green tops, which have a lot less of the fermentable carbs, if onions are a problem for you, just skip the bulbs, like the bottom pieces. And I mentioned that because a lot of my patients are dealing with GI issues, or they have like intolerances to certain fermentable carbohydrates. Okay, and I've already rinsed our green onions here. Ooh, they're so fresh and springy. They're like springing off of the counter. That's what you want it to be like. And you guys can probably hear this. It's crunchy when you cut through it. These I got at Safeway. They're organic and not very expensive, and they look really, really fresh. Okay, I am going to use the whole onion just so we don't waste anything. You could also do a different onion. You could do red, you could do shallots. All right, that's quite a bit of onion. Whoo! I might take some of this home because this is a lot. And then we're also going to add a little bit of fresh basil. Now you could skip the fresh because the basil is kind of expensive at the grocery store. You could skip doing the fresh and just do dried. That would be fine. Or like even an Italian blend dried would be fine. All right, this is gonna be kind of oniony. Leave the rest of that. A lot of green onions. The basil that I got at Safeway was a big box of it for $5.99. They had a little one for like $2 something, but it didn't look as good. So it wasn't as fresh. It would have done the trick for this recipe, but it just was kind of, wilted. So we're going with the really good stuff. But yeah, you could skip it if it's a little pricey for you. Okay, this is gonna be a trick to stir it, but we'll figure it out. And then our last little pop of color here, you could leave your cherry tomatoes whole if you wanted to, or slice them in half. If you are doing this ahead of time, like a day or two, I would leave them whole, right? It's gonna last just a little bit longer, a little less moisture in there, but we're gonna eat this pretty quickly. So I am gonna have some of these. And this was just one little container of the cherry tomatoes. Is anybody growing tomatoes at home?
I looked at plants yesterday. I didn't find any.
Ah, okay. You've been plant shopping.
And I thought, oh, I have to get my container. I would grow them in a container on my deck. And so my container wasn't ready.
Yeah. The container gardening is so nice. It's contained, right?
By the little grape, the cherry tomatoes.
Cherry tomatoes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
all the different colors.
Yeah, yellow, the golden ones, the orange ones. Yeah, that's super fun. And then you can really do it anywhere. Like you can do it on a balcony, you can do it on a front step. So yeah, I love that. I have not had good luck with tomatoes. They here in the Northwest, I've tried several times, and I just
I grew up in Illinois. My grandpa used to grow them this big.
big ones. Yeah.
I know,
Wow.
a long time ago, before like the golden and the yellow tomatoes were, plentiful and stuff, but he liked them because of the low acid.
Low acid, yeah.
So he knew about that kind of stuff.
Well, the Midwest, you get those nice hot summers.
His tomatoes were wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, we're out of room. We're out of room here. So I'm just gonna top these. I'm gonna have to find another thing to stir this in, but you do want to stir it up for sure. And we're gonna get a dressing on there and let that dressing marinate a little bit on our pasta, and it'll soak up some of that liquid from the dressing. Okay, so our dressing is going to be olive oil, which I've already got measured out, and then some red wine vinaigrette, Got a new one here, but let's use red wine vinegar. We're making a vinaigrette. We're going to do 1/4 of a cup of the vinegar. So this is a classic, like French style dressing where you have 2 parts oil to 1 part acid. You could make it a little bit more acidy. Like when I make a vinaigrette at home, just for a salad, oftentimes I'll do half and half, like 50-50 with the acid and the oil. But for a pasta salad like this, especially for other palates, because I really like vinegar. It's nice to do the 2 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. We are going to put a little bit of garlic in here, so a little more alliums, a little more flavor. And I think it just calls for one clove, yeah. You could also use powdered garlic, that would be fine. Or if you have the little minced garlic in a jar, like in the fridge, you just scoop out a teaspoon. A teaspoon is about a clove. This was a big clove, which is great because I love garlic. Just mince that up. All right, and then what else? We've already put our basil in the salad itself, and just a little bit of salt and pepper. All right, lovely. I'm going to use a teaspoon so that I'm not using my fingers in here because they're wet. All right, quarter teaspoon salt, quarter teaspoon pepper. You could do fresh black pepper if you wanted. And then we're just going to give this a good stir. Are you guys making dressings at home at all?
Yes, I do have a question, there's so many vinegars, there's red wine, white wine.
Yeah.
Cider vinegar, and a lot of people use that as a nutritional supplement, the cider.
Mm-hmm.
There's weight loss and all.
Mm.
What do you feel about the flavors of all those? They're distinctively different, aren't they?
Yeah, okay, so the question is all these different vinegars, what is the deal with like apple cider versus rice vinegar and balsamic vinegar? And this is a red wine vinegar. There's white wine based vinegars. Yeah, so they're all going to have the acetic acid in there. They're all going to have that, tart, soury acid flavor, which is great. It's one of our major flavors, right? And it balances out sweet and savory and, kind of rounds out the flavor of the meal, which is great. The red wine is really nice for something like pasta, like think Italian, right? Or even like a Pinot Grigio, like a white wine vinegar is lovely for, that kind of stuff. When I think about rice vinegar, I think more like Asian dishes. Apple cider vinegar is a good all around. Sometimes I would use that like even in something like this, or even on like a fruit salad where you want just a little splash of sour, or you want a little bit of that acid to help with preserving that color, for example.
Are some way more acidic than others?
They're not really, unless they are cooking it or making it to a different acidity. They actually should be very standardized from an acid sense. It usually it'll say it right on it because like especially like you've probably seen like the big white vinegar things, the 5% acidity.
Oh,
it is
for
yes, it's standardized so that you can use it for like canning,
okay,
for example, so you know what's in it. Yeah. And then like a balsamic vinaigrette is more tangy. Think about like for marinades or like on meat, it holds up really well. It's, a little bit more bold. So yeah. Okay, we're just gonna like drizzle and then it's gonna go through this pasta salad and hopefully actually help break some of it up, like some of those noodles. Okay, and then we'll give that a toss. We'll figure out how to toss that later. Okay, let's move on to, we've got about 20 minutes left. Let's move on to our last recipe, which is a coleslaw. And it's going to be a homemade coleslaw. So you could just buy the ready, shredded in a bag cabbage, totally fine. I'm just going to show you this really quick while I have it open. So, but I do have a food processor that I really like using. It makes it really easy. So this is just the blade function, so we can shred something. So we can, or basically slice something. There's also a shredding function, like to make the carrot slices, for example. But I really like the fresh cut cabbage. And actually, I always keep a cabbage in the fridge because it holds up. It lasts so much longer than lettuce, right? Like your lettuce is going bad, you want a salad or you want a topping for your tacos. A whole head of cabbage lasts so long, and then we just like slice on it like for weeks at a time. And we actually prefer it now for our tacos and stuff. So we always try and have cabbage around. And making your own, if you do have a food processor, or you can just use your knife skills, right? But it's really, really nice and fresh this way. Okay. And I'm just gonna kind of estimate, but we're going for about 4 cups of our cabbage. Got a little more space in there. So let's add some green to this. And I do like the different colors because you're getting those different phytonutrients. So if you're a green cabbage person and you could branch out, that's one way to get purple in your life. Or the same thing with like carrots. Like, if you're an orange carrot person, you could try the purple carrots and get a little bit of that, dark purple color going. All right, let's just see how much we've got here. Yeah, that's pretty close to 4 cups. I think I want a little more green in there. It's very purpley. Let's do a little more green. Do you guys have a food processor? Does anyone use one at home? You have a little one?
A little big one.
Little baby one? Yeah, we're gonna actually use a little baby one
I did
here.
some carrots like that, amazed my friends that were sitting in there.
Yeah.
We made hot stickers last week.
Oh, fun. Yeah, it is kind of amazing how quick it goes. Yeah. Okay. Just
And
a
those
little more.
are parboiled, so they chunk it quick.
Oh, yeah. So you're using like they were kind of parboiled or steamed carrots, so they were a little soft. That's nice. I am using today just fresh carrots from the bag, pre-shredded, right? I like the pre-shredded bags because they're a little bit heartier than if I was to do it with this. With this, it's the little thinner slices of the carrots, and then it doesn't hold up in the salad as well. So I actually like the shredded carrots in the bag better, and then just rinse it. If you kind of taste that little rinse that they put on it, just rinse that off with your own water. Okay, we're gonna add our carrots in here. That's a lot of carrots. And you can change up your ratios. Like if you are more of a cabbage fan, maybe you do a little more cabbage in here. This is gonna be kind of carrot forward, which is fine. But yeah, we've got a nice mix of colors there. Okay, let's do our dressing. So the dressing is interesting. It is a raspberry dressing, and we're going to use whole raspberries. You could use frozen raspberries, you could use fresh. I'm keeping some really nice looking fresh raspberries for the side as like a topper. And then the ones that didn't look as good are going to be blended in the vinaigrette. All right, so we've got about 1.5 cups of raspberries. We're going to add a 1/2 cup of oil to this. Now, you don't have to have a food processor. You could just use a fork or a potato masher and just literally mash this up. We are going to, what was that? Is this the one you have? Yeah, great. I love this. This was my the food processor I had for a very long time. The only one that I used. I didn't have a big one for years and years and years. And this is a little Cuisinart. It does a really good job. I will say I did start it on fire once. I was trying to do too much. I was working it too hard, and I was actually at a fire station cooking with firefighters, and this thing starts smoking, and they run it outside. And then I told my husband later that day, and then he bought me the big one. So, so it worked out. I got a bigger food processor out of the deal. But
Just simple choppers, if you didn't feel like you're not gonna be using the food processor for a lot of different types of food preparation, is there just something that you could get that would be great for just chopping?
yeah, so the question is, what about just chopping? And there are those hand choppers out where it's not even like electric. You just do the press like this.
Do those work pretty well?
They actually really do work. Yeah, yeah, those are nice. It's fast. And if you have any like dexterity, like thumb issues or grip issues, you can use two hands on it and like it will, chop up things really, really quickly. So those are lovely and they're pretty cheap. You can find them at like Walmart and Home Goods and Fred Meyer and all kinds of places.
There's so many mechanisms to the food processors to,
Yeah,
and
sometimes this is a little complicated and you just want something simple.
they are large.
Yeah.
Things to have on your countertop.
Okay, this shallot was pretty big, so I'm not going to put all of it in here. And then a teaspoon of Dijon. This is one of my favorite Dijons. I don't know if you guys have had this Trader Joe's. It actually is from Dijon, France, and it tastes like Dijon from France. Like it's the real deal. But it's cheap. I mean, it has been cheap. I don't know about with import taxes. We'll see what happens, but it's been cheap up until now. And so I really, really like this one. It's nice and
come from that specific region then.
I don't.
Just taste it.
It just tastes good.
It's
Yeah.
darker because
Yeah.
than like the Dijon mustard.
The Dijon mustard. Yeah, it's like, yeah, ground in there. Okay, little pinch of salt and pepper. Let's add those things so I don't miss it. This is kosher salt, so I'm going to do 2 pinches because it's kind of big crystals. What else? Anything? You know what? I only did half of the shallot, so let's go ahead. Let's put the rest of this in here because it really is only half. So I think we're going to be okay. We're going to be kind of oniony today. Oh, I haven't put the vinegar in. Yeah, because it's over here. Thank you. We need what? A quarter? Also a quarter cup. Perfect. And then the sweetness is coming from the raspberries itself. So you've got your oil, you've got your acid, and then we're not adding a honey or a pinch of sugar or anything because it is from the fruit, right? Okie dokie. Now, this one goes this way. So I didn't need to chop the shallots quite as much, right? Because it blends it and it gives you quite a bit. So you're not going to use all of this on your salad, right? You're going to save this for other salads. Keep it in the fridge, like put it in a jar because we're only going to use a little bit on our coleslaw. All right, let's see, because I think it calls for how much on the coleslaw? Well, let's just do it. Let's do it by sight, right? Just kind of eyeball it.
Just keep in the refrigerator.
So the dressing, eat it in about a week by itself, in the fridge, keep it cold. And then the salad, once you make it up, because now you've got, wilting and stuff like that happening, you're probably going to want to eat it in 3 to 5 days, the salad itself. Yeah. Okay, but let's just give this a toss and see how this is coating. I love that it's pink. Add some more color in there. Have you guys used any fruit like that before in a dressing, like as a base?
I haven't, but there are these coolest that you can get at like UFC, they have raspberry, you know, coolest, kind of like the sauce.
Yeah, like a raspberry vinaigrette even, like
Right.
similar to this. Yep. Or like a pomegranate something. Those are fun. Sometimes they even have the seeds in there, like the arils.
How much dressing do you think you put onto their?
I put on about a third of a cup. So not very much. Just kind of getting that coated. Let's actually also, let's taste it. We didn't really, taste test it, but that is a good thing before you're going to feed people. Just like double check.
Sour.
Yum. It's good. Maybe do just a little bit. Just a little bit more. So maybe like half a cup total. Mm, yeah, it doesn't really tell you in the recipe. Yum. Love that little bit of the tang from the red wine vinegar. And then we're just going to top this with our raspberries for that third color, or really fourth color in here. A little bit of red. I would probably keep the raspberries separate. Like if you're making this up ahead of time, keep this in a, enclosed Tupperware or something, and then just put the raspberries on right before you're going to serve it.
Now, does that taste better to make it like the day ahead? Too?
I think it does taste better like tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, if you make it a day ahead. Exactly. Mm. Okay. There's our raspberry slaw ready to go. Let's talk about, since we've got like 5 minutes left, because our dishes are done. We've got our fruit salad, our slaw, we've got our pasta salad that we're gonna toss off camera. We're gonna figure it out. um, let's talk about our little picnic ideas over here. So I do have my little picnic basket, and I have a few things I wanted to just show you. Do you guys know these silicone? These are really nice. Like instead of throwaway plastic, they're reusable and they're just made out of silicone. So there's no like plastics in here. There's no BPA or anything you have to worry about. They're very high temperature. So you can even put this through a dishwasher. So for things like, nuts or dried fruits, like or trail mix or little crackers or carrot sticks or something, these are lovely reusable. They're a little more pricey at the beginning, but then you use them for years and years and years. So this is a nice thing to be using for like if you're packing a little picnic to go. This is my husband's favorite sandwich container. He got this so that he wasn't reusing the little plastic sleeves every day. And he really enjoys it because you can kind of pop it up, open it up, and then have like, your veggies or whatever on the side. And then, this. So if you are packing like an individual picnic where you're hiking in somewhere or you're taking it to a park, some of these little containers are nice. And then it acts as your base. It acts as your tray or like your plate. Or some reusable things like this. This is a little bamboo lid product. Like I would put veggies in here. And it's not quite as heavy as like a glass container. Right? Or you could go old school, like a tiffin tin. Those are kind of fun. And a tiffin tin. So these are used in India. And it's literally just stainless steel. So if you have issues with like plastic or you're trying to, cut down on your plastic use, these are really nice. They're washable, reusable. And then you have your two different, or even like 3 or 4, some, are bigger, where you put like your rice in one and then your curry in another. Or, for for a picnic, I might do something different, like veggies in one and maybe my like sandwich in another.
It would take heat nicely too, if you had a hot.
If you had it hot, yeah, you could have it hot and then just kind of wrap it in something to keep it warm. But yeah, these are lovely, and it's got its built-in handle, right? So you just people take them to work or take them to school. Yeah. And then, something to carry your stuff in, maybe a little gingham would be, the traditional picnic style here, but a lot of places now make these blankets that are like reusable picnic blankets where you can put them down and then just, dust them off so that they're not soaking up the moisture, which is really nice. The biggest thing though is how are you going to keep things cold? Or how are you going to keep things hot? If things are hot, you want to keep it hot. If it's cold, you want to keep it cold. So do think about like how you're going to pack, even for a potluck. Like even transporting between your house and the park, you want some of these large cold packs that can fit in your bag, well, maybe even a couple. If you've got a longer distance to go, I wouldn't use, one of these flexible cloth ones, even though there's a little bit of, padding in here. I would use a solid styrofoam or like one of those igloo, plastic coolers. Those really do stay cold a lot longer. And then at a picnic or a potluck, I would actually like even use this, like keep your cold dish, like the fruit salad or whatever it is, keep it on the ice pack if you can, and just fold down the sides. Or if it's, if you can pack it in another bigger bowl, if you've got ice, you can do a bigger bowl of ice with the smaller bowl inside. And then you're just keeping everything nice and cold. And so there's going to be no question, that it is being held cold. Okay, what else did we not talk about off of this list? Cross-contamination. I do want to say something about this really quick. So when you're doing the grilling, especially, be careful with the tongs or the spatula that you're using on, like with raw meat. That needs to go back and get cleaned. If you're at a picnic area, like a park or something, you might need to bring wipes, like, to kind of sanitize it, or just separate utensils so that once you've got that raw meat on the grill, that thing goes away and you're using fresh utensils to plate and to serve people. Do have a thermometer with you. Careful of your cutting boards. So your cutting boards are not being used, for raw and then fresh items. And then still think about like plate method, like still think about how are you going to plate up your dish, especially with like picnics and potlucks where you have so many things to choose from. Ideally, you're thinking like half of that plate is going to be some sort of vegetable item or very colorful item. A quarter might be your starch, like your corn or your potato salad, and then a quarter might be your protein, whatever that protein is. And the things that we tend to be low on, or the things to increase, vegetables, maybe fruit, especially as the dessert, like instead of a more sweet thing, spices and marinades, herbs, plant-based proteins like we're using in our pasta salad today, and then less processed meats. So like fish or seafood or like whole cuts versus the, processed sausages and things like that. Do your temperature checks. And then the last thing on there is activity. And of course, like it's social. So you're going to be out, you're going to be seeing people, which is good for our health too. Any thoughts or questions, things that we haven't covered you want to talk about? Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about how I went to a picnic just recently when we went to the Camino Island studio tour and with our little people. We thought we didn't spend a lot of money in a restaurant, so we went to all the artists.
Uh-huh.
We went to the state park and I had a nice disposable tablecloth and we put that down and we had a lovely picnic.
Oh, yeah. It's so much cheaper than going out to eat.
It really is.
Yeah.
I was thinking that if, let's say you weren't sure about when you'd be serving, if you wanted to serve the foods in pack, let's say you bring your apples, you bring your
Mm-hmm.
bring
Mm-hmm.
even things like, let's say, commercially prepared, non-refrigerated salad dressing. What about things like it sounds insane, but something like a little bit of teriyaki jerky or something that's a dried,
Mm-hmm.
refrigerated,
Mm-hmm.
that you
Mm-hmm.
just wanna chop up for a tiny little
Sure.
bit of accent.
Yeah, yeah. So the question is like, what if you're out and about and you're trying to like be safe and you're not sure when you're gonna eat? It's like this whole length of time. Yeah, you could use like a dried meat. Or I almost brought today to show you guys the little tins of like smoked trout, like from Trader Joe's, like little cans where you can just literally peel it open and then that's your protein source. Very shelf stable. Oh, the smoked trout is so good. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, and then you just put that on a little cracker, and that's your protein with some carbs, and then you have a carrot on the side or whatever for your color. But yeah, you could do jerky every once in a while. Of course, jerky is gonna be high salt, so you're gonna have hopefully other and maybe sugary, yeah. And so you're gonna have other things to balance that out. But yeah, your idea where like the fruit isn't cut yet, that is safer, right? Once you cut it, now there's a higher risk that you are gonna have bacterial growth. So you got to be then cognizant of the time and temperature. But like a whole apple or whole little mandarin oranges, much more shelf
And
stable.
a car for an indefinite period.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
gonna- It may get up in temperature, but it's not gonna.
If you're in a
go
car, yeah, yeah, you've got a little bit more time there, a little more wiggle room. Exactly. Okay, well, thanks to everybody who joined us online. You'll get the recipes and the recording. Sorry you won't get to eat food with us. But we're gonna say goodbye and sample our salads. All right, see you next time.